Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first episode of the Active Podcast. I'm here with Sam, Ewan. My name is Jacob. Let's get into it. So we have for you today some amazing football transfer news. Ewan, the Chelsea fan, tell me about your club. Go.
I thought we were starting with a Messi one.
Oh, yeah. How about this? Let's not talk about your club first. Let's talk about Lionel Messi. What's actually going on with Lionel Messi? Sam, what's going on?
Well, there's been a few updates today. Obviously, the whole story is revolved around Lionel Messi handing in a transfer request to Barcelona. But the update today is that the La Liga have sided with Barcelona on whether he's able to leave on a free or not. So, Messi is claiming that a clause in his contract allows him to leave for free. That should be, and the deadline was originally a few months ago, but because of the COVID crisis, he's claiming it should be extended to the end of this month, August the 31st. But Barcelona have hit back against that. They say that's not the rules, that's not legal, you're not allowed to do that. And La Liga, obviously, it'd be very detrimental to them if Messi left. He's a huge draw to people watching on TV, coming to the stadiums. So they don't want him to leave, and they've sided with Barcelona.
Yeah, see, I think with the whole, it's COVID, my contract should be extended, I don't quite get that, because at the end of the day, it's contracts. It's a signed agreement.
It says May the 31st, I think that was the date, and there's no precedent for that to be changed.
So the real grey area is, was there actually a clause? Because there's been rumours that there was actually no clause about him being able to leave on a free. And there's some people saying there was. So is that actually true? Do we know?
I think it is true because of the way La Liga have reacted and the way Barcelona have reacted. It seems like there was indeed that clause existing in his contract. And it's a bit lucky for Barcelona, really, that for one thing, this COVID crisis has caused everything to be pushed back and this all to be happening later than it maybe would have. And also lucky for them that this happened, that this didn't happen last year, because it could have happened last year, because Barcelona have been a really poorly run club for a few years now. It's kind of been Messi papering over all the cracks. They've relied on him so heavily, but it's finally all collapsed against Bayern Munich. And luckily for Barcelona, that happened to be after this clause had expired.
I mean, the guy makes so much money. Even if you got rid of him on a free, the amount of money you'd save, like he's making on average,
it's about $1 million a week.
$1 million a week, which is insane. Wherever it goes, whoever's going to be able to pay that there's only a few clubs that could.
Yeah, but then on Messi's side of things, he knows that realistically the only way he's going to leave Barcelona is on a free, because there's not a club in the world that can afford just through cash money his transfer fees. Because I think, was it quoted at like 300 or something mil or something stupid like that?
Apparently, Barcelona would demand his release clause, which is 700 million euros.
It's insane.
No one's paying that.
Most La Liga release clauses, they're not really meant to be paid.
It's legal.
Yeah, that's it.
In Spain, you have to have a release clause.
Yeah. I mean, even if he went on a free, like, people underestimate frees because you still have to pay a signing on fee.
Yeah, I mean,
higher.
for one, if you're going on a free, you're much more likely to have to pay a massive signing on fee and massive wages. It's what happened with Aaron Ramsey.
Yeah.
To Juventus.
Oh
he moved on a free, and as a result, he ended up being on 400k a week.
Jesus. So much.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. But I mean, it's looking like Man City are the only club really to.
Yeah. They're the only club with that
money.
financial
That oil
power.
money is the only thing that's going to get Messi, because I can't see any other club. Like Juve are literally selling players to pay for Dybala's wages. Like that's the only reason they're selling players.
They've terminated Higuain's contract because
have
they
Mad.
Because they are paying so much on wages to so many old players. They got rid of Matuidi as well a couple of weeks ago. He's moved to the MLS. So they are desperately freeing up funds. So I don't think we'll see Juventus going for them. PSG, similar situation. They're paying already so much to Mbappe, and they're paying so much to Neymar and Di Maria and Icardi. So the Man City look like the only viable destination for Messi.
I mean, what are the other richest clubs? You've got Chelsea that have just spent their way through it, so they got no chance really.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, United
have been linked recently, haven't they? But I don't really see why Messi would be attracted to that situation.
He's a luxury player.
He is.
You buy Messi when you're a decent team already. You can't buy Messi expecting to A, build a team around him because he's 33, and B, to sort of like develop him because he's 33. It's just not. It's not.
But that's the problem though. You've got with Messi, if you want the best out of him, you have to cater to his needs around the whole team, because you can't have, for example, a pressing team and have Messi in it because he won't press. You can't have, if you want the wingers to come back and defend as well, you can't have Messi because he won't do it. You've literally got to build your team around Messi, and at the age that he's at, you can't really build a team around that.
You don't really want to be investing that much into someone who's that old.
Imagine him at Burnley, lads, whipping it into Jay Rodriguez every week. Be absolutely wonderful.
Some quality
Get him
balls going into the box there.
But Man City seem to want to offer Jesus, Bernardo Silva and Garcia to them to try and drop down that ridiculous price for him. Also, it means they'll get a couple of people off their salary.
I think that would be a good situation with Barcelona. I think they'd be winning from that. They'd get their Suarez replacement and Gabriel Jesus. Yeah,
it's Bernardo Silva is a class right winger.
He is.
Jesus, that's young. In the Premier League, he seemed to do quite well this year.
Whenever he gets an opportunity, he does well. He scores goals. And he's been stuck behind Sergio Aguero for so long that you could imagine him potentially wanting to move. And with Suarez looking like he's going to leave this summer, Jesus could be the option that Barcelona need.
Oh yeah, and I mean, he's been playing alongside Aguero in a couple of games. He'll be training with Aguero a lot for the last how many years.
Yeah, he's had a lot of good mentorship.
There's a lot of stuff that you can take from Aguero, and then you take him, a young player, into Barcelona. I think that's a great deal personally.
Yeah, and Eric Garcia, he's looked good when he's played. He played quite a bit at the end of last season for Man City, and Barcelona definitely need to bring in some reinforcements to their defence, because PK is getting on. He's not what he was, and TT doesn't seem he will ever get off the injury table. And other than that, who have you got? You've got Lenglet, who looks all right, but other than that, there's no one there who looks promising or ready to start for Barcelona now. So they need some reinforcements there.
You do have to worry a bit about Man City's youth setup though, because out of all the players that are there, they are losing a lot of youngsters. I think the biggest high profile one is obviously Jadon Sancho, who left 2016. And now he's a star, and they have stars there, but they're just not using them because the amount of money they have, they can just go out and buy end product. And so that's why you see Garcia, he left Barcelona to join City, and now he's left City to go back to Barca. It's scary.
But then at the same time, City, you lose. It's not just the players that you give in Barcelona. You've got to pay a fee on top of that. So they're going to be paying that for years.
Yeah.
So there's that. Plus Barcelona, from a good side of Barcelona, they lose Messi, but they get 3 players, plus how much money to invest in better players. I mean, for Barcelona, I know it's Messi and you don't want to lose him, but if you put up a big fee and you're getting players from it, then it's a no-brainer, really.
I agree. I think if Man City made that offer, it should be accepted, but I'm not sure whether Man City will actually be that willing to properly make that offer. They might be considering it, but ultimately, I wouldn't be surprised if that doesn't happen.
Also, there's just no way they can afford, if they actually make them pay the release clause. There's no way they can afford it.
Nobody in the world.
There's no amount of oil money, cover-up, crooked lawyers, bribes that you can use to somehow convince UEFA that you somehow made 700 million euros in actual
At the end
profit.
of the day, that's more than the yearly revenue of most clubs.
Probably almost the Premier League. The Premier League makes nearly $1 billion, so it's not happening.
It's not looking like Messi's going to get what he wants from this situation. I think he might well stay. He might well. Well, if he really is going to try and force his way out, then potentially Barcelona might have to lower their asking price.
I could just see him not playing.
Getting his wages off the books would be big for them. But at the same time, potentially we could see him stay one more year and run down his contract because he's only got a year left on his contract. So maybe he'll leave on a free next year. Who knows?
If there's anybody who could force him to move out, though, it has to be Messi. Like the amount of power he has over that club, he's.
I mean, even the president of Barcelona has apparently offered to resign if Messi stays. That's how powerful Messi is, and even that might not be enough.
Just he's kind of toxic.
Yeah, the whole situation at Barcelona has been toxic for years, and they've covered it up pretty well, but they can't cover it up anymore.
Finally starting to crumble in it with all these. They haven't signed well, honestly. I don't think they've bought well.
They haven't made a genuinely good signing in years. Griezmann,
Neymar, I would say, was the best one, and then they sold him.
But I swear a lot of their signings is due to what Messi thinks as well, isn't it? Isn't there a lot of there was a youngster there, I can't remember who it was, but there was a youngster there that Messi didn't like and they just let him go.
Yeah, he does have that kind of power, he does. But the amount of players they've spent so much on, Coutinho, over 100 mil on, they sent him out on loan to Bayern where he's won the Champions League. That's not gone well. Ousmane Dembele spent over 100 million on him, and he's spent most of his time out injured. He only played like 5 games this season. Griezmann, when you spend 120 million on a striker and then he doesn't even come off the bench in a Champions League quarter-final.
I mean, yeah, it's a kick in the teeth, and they didn't need to spend that much money. There's so much better options. And they signed Trincao as well, which they could have done last season and got him earlier.
Yeah, who knows? Who knows how that will turn out? But now I think it's time to move on to a club who's doing significantly better transfer business.
Yeah, I mean, on the subject of spending loads of money with
Chelsea,
the trigger happy. you can just see Roman Abramovich has just got money in his hands and he's just flipping, spreading it everywhere.
Yeah. This guy got financial takeover on career mode and he's just loving it. That's it.
It's like last season he sat back and he watched as everybody else spent loads of money and he wasn't able to spend any. And now he's taking his revenge. This season he's going all out, splashing the cash wherever he wants, bringing in whoever he wants.
He's like a kid in Halfords that's just got endless pockets of money.
That one.
I'll have that one, I'll have that one, I'll have that one.
The one whose parents gave him a full £15 at the sweet shop and we all had £2 and he was just spending everything. He's that kid.
And, it looks like he's actually making intelligent decisions with that money, unlike Barcelona. Werner scored, 27 goals, 26 maybe, in the Bundesliga last season, and he's only 24. He looks like pretty much one of the best strikers in the world now, and for the next 5 or 6 years at least.
The guy scored in 4 minutes against Brighton yesterday, into his debut.
I don't know if you guys saw the goal, but flip me, it was hilarious. Hudson-Odoi completely spooned it.
It wasn't even a good assist. At least my winger is getting the actual 40-yard passes and getting assists. But we'll talk about that later.
But yeah, Werner it's an undisclosed fee, but I think his release clause was around 50 mil, so we believe that's how much they've spent on Werner.
Yeah, it's a really good deal.
So that's but it's kind of we needed another striker really, because you've got Giroud that's getting old now. I mean, he's still a top class striker as he showed at the end of last season, and you got Tammy Abraham he's got the potential, but he's not quite there yet.
Yeah, he had a very good start to last season, but the second half of last season definitely tailed off, didn't score many goals, and Giroud was kind of being preferred to him in the last few games, so definitely needed someone with proper star power, proper world-class finishing ability to come in and elevate your team to the next level. And hopefully Tammy Abraham will learn a bit off him as well.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. You've got, I mean, if Giroud is to stay, you've got Tammy Abraham learning all the hold up play that Giroud's got. I mean, Tammy's not a massive build, so he's never going to be able to really shrug off those centre backs.
Yeah, he's
But
lanky.
if he can, but it's all about positioning and whether he can get his body in the right position to stop those defenders getting to the ball and just laying it off.
Yeah, and he's certainly got the talent.
And so you've got that, and now Hakim Ziyech.
I love the look of Ziyech. He looks so good. I really wanted him last season. After that run in the Champions League that Ajax had, I really wanted to sign him. And then his price tag was like 25, so it would have been really cheap. And we needed another Ozil replacement. We needed a right winger. And I'm quite happy that Chelsea have got him. I want to see him in the Premier League. He looks quality.
Well, yeah, I mean, 36 mil for a 28-year-old, I think he is. Is he 28, 27?
27, I think.
27. I mean, he's in his prime.
Yeah,
and he really can pass those balls.
He will really contribute well. And I think it is really scary thinking about Hakim Ziyech and potentially Kai Havertz and Mason Mount.
God, the amount of creativity.
playing through balls to Werner to score 40 goals a season.
But they couldn't do it against Brighton, could they?
As well.
They couldn't even win. Shocking. Disappointing.
I mean, to be honest, the one thing I'm looking forward to the most with Ziyech is his set pieces.
Yeah, I've seen it.
His set pieces against us were incredible in the Champions League this year.
Yeah.
And if he can put, I mean, if Zuma's playing in centre back and he's in the box, I mean, if those crosses are perfect, so it means that Zuma doesn't have to do too much. Zuma's out jumping everyone.
Yeah.
Hopefully
he's got that leaps like a salmon.
Exactly. He just can't quite head of the ball into the back of the net. He goes to Rose Ed.
I know you wanted to say that so bad. You just took it from him.
Okay,
can we talk about that Brighton game real quick? Because there were fans in that game. That was the first game we've had.
There were?
Yeah,
Yes.
there was like 2K.
2,500. I think it's 2,500, wasn't it?
Yeah, which is really cool to see fans are finally back in the game.
It was good. It was good to see that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It promises that at least some of us will occasionally be able to go to games next season. Maybe we'll finally be able to. Of course.
So how's it working? So you don't pay full price, right? You just pay what?
No, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest, but yeah, it'll be much cheaper, and hopefully there'll be some options to watch more games on the TV, kind of like the passes that they gave us after the restart last season.
Oh right, yeah. So you get like the opportunity to watch those games exclusively for free.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And but hopefully one day soon I'll be finally able to walk up the steps and look out over the Molineux field again. I look forward to that day.
Actually get battered 5-1 by Arsenal. Can't wait.
That would be. That would be.
Have you heard about the recent announcement about 3 p.m. games on Saturday?
Yeah, we'll finally be able to watch them on TV.
Yeah, so they've just been announced that we can watch them on TV now. There's no law against not being able to watch 3 p.m. games.
See, I never knew that was a law because I always used to watch my matches illegally anyway. But now I know.
That's disgraceful. That is. I'd never do that.
You can't. Yeah, don't do that.
But yeah, no. I mean, I think I would have thought the whole law was there to attract more people to the stadiums. But obviously, at the minute, they don't want anyone there.
Yeah. Well, it's mostly what it was. It was for smaller teams in lower leagues, right? Because it was the idea that hopefully, if they weren't showing the big Premier League games, more people would go to see their local smaller teams rather than watching like Man United on the TV. But yeah,
I think the thing is with that is we now know that TV is nothing compared to the atmosphere you get when you go to a game. So it's not going to take that away. You'll still get. At the
end of the day, people want to go to the games. People want to do that because it's by far the best experience. And that's been emphasised by the empty stadiums after the lockdown because the atmosphere is just not there and the games just aren't as interesting.
Oh yeah, I mean that Brighton game, flipping heck. I mean there's only 2,500 fans, but the atmosphere was actually mad. Listening to it was incredible because I watched it on the Chelsea fifth stand,
Yeah.
and you can hear all the fans because they didn't have the artificial crowd, which is disgusting. And I think it actually helped Brighton a lot because I mean they pulled. I think it was 89th minute they got a penalty.
Yeah.
So it pulled them back into it, and we've seen over the end of last season that there was games where lower teams they needed their fans to bring them out.
To push them forward, and they didn't have it at times. Maybe if the fans were there, Bournemouth might have stayed up. You never know. So
I think that was all down to the goal line technology person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was absolutely.
They've been amazing. They've had their fair share of blunders recently. Goal line technology. Let's talk about the rest of Chelsea's signings then. So we've got a few more. So Chilwell, he signed recently for 45.
It's a big price. It's a big price for a left back.
He's not even that good of a left back, honestly. He's just one on the market. He's just on the market, let's be honest.
He's a decent left back. He's young, that's important, and he's English.
He's young and English, that's why he's so expensive. But if that was some French Don, it wouldn't have been 45 mil at all.
No, absolutely. And also, if I hadn't come from Leicester always put those big price tags on their players. But you've got to look at it as well. You've got to look at it from the bright side is, it was looking like you were going to pay 80 at one point.
Well, yeah, there is that. We almost halved it.
At the end of the day, you've done what Man United couldn't do for Harry Maguire. You managed to negotiate that price significantly down. Whereas Man United just kind of caved to Leicester's demands. I think maybe the financial situation of the clubs has affected that. Leicester, when they were selling Maguire, they don't need any money. They can hold out for as much as they want. In the end, they forced Man United to pay 85 million. Whereas now, all the clubs need that money a lot more. So at the end of the day, it's 45 mil is better than nothing.
I mean, the thing is, 45 mil, yeah, for a left back, that's quite expensive. We could have got Tagliafico for a head of a lot cheaper. Yeah. But then you look at Tagliafico, he's probably in his prime. I don't know exactly.
No, he's 23.
Well, he's 28.
Is it?
He's 28.
I was going to say he's 28. I'm pretty sure he's a lot older. So you've got Ben Chilwell, that's a decent left back at the minute. He's quite young. He could potentially become England's number one left back and one of the best left backs in the league. There's a potential for that.
Yeah.
Which, if he does, that 45 mil is nothing really, because he's done exactly what we need him to do.
Chilwell, you'll be all about Kieran Tierney by Christmas.
Oh, of course. Nah, Ben Chilwell's the one. Running. I mean, from watching that Brighton game, if we had Chilwell instead of Alonso, the amount of balls that Chilwell could have got to on the end of, that'd have been amazing.
He does offer that extra mobility. He's much quicker than Marcos Alonso.
He was already announced by then, though, right? You'd already had him as a
He's injured.
Oh, he's injured.
He's injured. He's got an ankle injury.
Oh.
So we won't see him for the first couple of games, I don't think. But imagine, Pulisic is also injured, so we won't see much from our left-hand side of our best two players. But as soon as Chilwell and Pulisic come on that left side, and then you've got Reece James and Ziyech on the right side, that's just deadly.
And if you have Havertz and Werner in the middle, the whole team, in general, is just quality. You've got a nice sort of stopgap as well with Thiago Silva, who we should also talk about next.
He'll be coming in, offer that experience. He's still a quality player, and
great signing.
Unlike a lot of the old players you see going on free transfers, like Vertonghen earlier, Wolves were actually linked to him at one point, and I didn't want that to happen. In the end, he's ended up going to Benfica, but he, unlike Thiago Silva, is not good anymore.
he's just not good.
Thiago Silva is actually still a good player. He's at the age of 36. He performed very well in the Champions League final against one of the best teams of the last 10 years, being Bayern Munich. So
we've got him for a year.
Looks like a really good signing.
Yeah, we got it for a year, and a potential to extend it for another year.
Yeah.
I don't know what's in the contract after that, but I mean, what Lampard wanted from Rudiger was that experience and the ability to pass the ball, and he just didn't perform at all. So hopefully Thiago Silva will come in and be that role model and the experience that Lampard wants for those potential next 2 years. which allows the likes of Malang Sarr that in next 2 years he could come in and replace Thiago Silva, or come in and learn from Thiago Silva if he's still there.
Yeah, you imagine what people can
still
learn
out
from
on
him.
Malang Sarr.
Say again, sorry?
I don't know how I feel about this Malang Sarr signing, because we were linked with him for a long time, but then there was a lot of talk like, is he good? Is he not good? Why Nice? Nice. Why they let him go on a free? And that he's not even getting into your team straight away. He's going.
But I mean, I think
there's a lot of questions.
The thing is with Malang Sarr though, we've got we've got him on a free, which is a bonus, so that if we lose, if he turns up in 2 years' time in the first team at Chelsea, performs horrendously. Okay, we've lost the money that we've lost is just the signing on fee and the wages that we pay.
And now it won't be that high because he's a youngster coming from Nice.
Yeah.
So
or
it's not
the opposite.
Risk.
Or the opposite, he becomes an amazing centre back, or an average centre back. We sell him, we earn money, or he becomes one of our best centre backs and we play him. It's not really a lose situation for us.
Low risk situation, you know. He's young, he's got sell on value, even if he doesn't turn out so well. So there doesn't really seem to be that many downsides to the signing.
Yeah, and then we've got another youngster that we signed that's in our academy called Mboyamba. Mboyamba.
I have no idea about this guy.
But
where's he from? I haven't heard of him.
I don't know exactly where he's from. We'll have to have a look. But he's meant to be the next Van Dijk, even though Van Dijk hasn't quite done a Van Dijk yet. He's only done it for a year.
When they do that.
But he's tall. He can pass a ball.
The next
he's defensive.
Messi, the next Ronaldo. It's just like, can I just be them? It's a lot of pressure.
There's a lot of pressure, but he's young. He's in our academy. We could loan him out for a bit. There's another potential centre back. Chelsea in the academy have got so many good left centre backs. It's actually ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so that's our centre back situation. I don't think there's any talks of looking for another one.
Yeah, I think you'll be good for now. I think you need to now focus your energies on other positions, one of which is goalkeeper. And you've been linked
don't get me started.
quite heavily.
Honestly, this is so stressful.
to Gianluigi Donnarumma.
Yo, what's going on? You haven't signed a keeper yet. You might still have Kepa.
Yeah, that would be a crazy situation if you get through this whole summer having spent however much money on all these great players and you haven't replaced Kepa, Enrique Balaga.
Kepa.
But
I mean,
Kepa.
Yeah, I think Donnarumma, if he comes in, that would be a class signing.
No, they're going to ask for way too much.
Nah, they're not asking for that much, actually. I think it's between 30 and 40 mil.
No, that's a lot for keeper.
Yeah, but for Donnarumma, the guy's made nearly... I think he's made over 200 senior appearances, and he's like 21 for a keeper. That's insane.
He is quality.
And he's a great keeper.
He's quality for, like, Italy.
Yeah, no, but I mean, we looked at...
I think he's the man.
Mendy. He plays for... is it Reims? I don't know.
Rems.
But I think we put in a bid of 15 mil and he got rejected. They want about 25 to 30 mil for him. So I think that's gone out the window.
Yeah.
Oblak, we're not going to get. I think potential.
He's an amazing keeper, obviously, but 100 mil for Oblak seems honestly quite fair. But you have already spent so much. I don't know whether you can afford to spend.
I don't think we have the money there to get him. I think Donnarumma would be a nice option.
Yeah.
What happens to the front Don? Do you remember him?
He moved to Fiorentina, and last season they sent him on loan to Nantes in France, where I think he's been pretty decent. I don't really know too much. I haven't really paid too much attention to that.
Yeah, I haven't heard much from him.
But he's still got that potential that everybody was really hyped about him a couple of years ago.
Yeah, the hype was huge.
FIFA career mode coming in clutch for him there. 88 potential. But
the career mode, and he got a card in FIFA, a FIFA Stars card, I think, and everyone was raving about him.
FIFA does a really good job of hyping up youngsters who don't have as much potential.
Who never actually that good.
They say they do.
I suppose it's a guessing game for them, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose so.
It's all a guessing game, really, isn't it? Like,
you don't know.
Even like Rafael Leao is like, there's people that know about him if he's going to be good or not. getting first.
And you don't know who's going to be struck down by injuries later in their career. I mean, who knows? Maybe Jadon Sancho or Kylian Mbappe will tear their ACL and then they'll never reach their level that they expected of them. So anything could happen to anybody.
But
just got to wait.
Back onto the goalkeeper situation with Chelsea. There's also talks that we could get Areola from Real Madrid.
I like him.
He'd be a good signing, actually, because he's not getting first team football. So
he's stuck behind Courtois, who's playing very well at Real Madrid.
And he's quality.
I think that'd be a good one as well. Good option.
I think there's a lot of cheaper goalkeepers. We won't go for 100%. We won't go for the Jan Blacks because it's just ridiculous. But I think they allocated 25 mil for a goalkeeper this season, or for next season. So I can see us going for someone. It's just all about timing, really.
Yeah.
And when we can get them in. Also, Caballero is potentially going to leave to go to. Where's he going? Pellegrini. Who's Pellegrini managing at the minute?
Oh, I cannot remember. Team in Spain, somewhere.
Yeah, I think so. I'll have a look now. I'll quickly search that up.
How old's Caballero? The guy's not young.
He's
anymore,
like 37, I think, maybe even 38.
37.
Yeah.
Damn, you should just be a Johnny Sins lookalike now.
I think.
I mean, I guess Buffon's like 42 and he's apparently still playing. I haven't seen him.
Yeah, Real Betis. Yeah, that's who he's managing. So because Caballero and Pellegrini had a relationship back when they were playing in the same team before.
Yeah.
So I think Pellegrini wants to.
Were they both
there?
Malaga?
Yeah, I think it's Malaga.
Yeah, and they were. They would have been both. Was it Pellegrini who brought him to Man City?
Yes, I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, so they've got a good relationship then. So that would make sense.
So I think Pellegrini's wanting to go for Caballero, which means that if that's the case, it means that we won't be loaning out or selling Kepa. It means that he'll be staying.
It's crazy.
Which
if he ends up being your starting
he's
keeper
not going to want to stay.
It'll honestly be crazy.
As a second choice, though, surely.
I mean, I don't think he really has a choice. I don't think anyone wants him.
No.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, no one's going to sign him. No.
And to be fair, actually,
which is a shame.
Depending on the personality of him, if I was him and I really wanted to show to the fans that I was a good keeper and I am I think it's 70 mil, was it, for him?
Yeah,
or whatever stupid price it was. That he is worth the money that Chelsea paid for him, so he could stay as a second keeper and show his worth, and kind of
come
back. Which, in Chelsea perspective, that's amazing. That's what you want him to do.
Yeah.
Instead of selling him for 15, 20 mil and losing that amount on a keeper, which is just ridiculous.
A lot of money.
But I mean, Chelsea's defence and goalkeeping situation last year was tragic, which is a potential signing for Declan Rice that Chelsea want to put him into centre back.
Yeah, I mean he can do that, or he can play defensive midfield. So he's got that versatility that would definitely be useful. Particularly if I did see a rumor saying that Chelsea would sell N'Golo Kante if he left for 50 million
to Man United. Man United are linked.
If someone offered 50 million for Kante, apparently they would be willing to accept that. So a defensive midfielder maybe would end up being a priority there.
The only reason that I'd want Kante to go is if he had the same season as what he did last season.
Yeah, a lot of injuries.
Constant injuries. When he came back, he wasn't playing to the best of ability because of his injuries. If this happens next season, then I'm like, that's 2 seasons now we've lost out. Potentially sell him to Man United, but the game he had against Brighton, if he's like that, then I don't want Declan Rice. N'Golo Kante can stay.
Yeah, he at the end of the day, at his best, he's the best. He's the best defensive midfielder in the world.
Hands. I never understood Sarri putting him up in a more attacking position.
Yeah, box to box, it doesn't suit him. You just want him at the base midfield, running around like a bee, buzzing all over the place. Tackling every single person who gets anywhere near him. That's where you want him.
And that's what he does. He's got the speed, and I don't know how he does it, but he glides right to the player and just taps it away from them. They just can't do anything about it.
It's like the only player that I've seen that kind of reminds me of him a bit in the way that they're just able to seemingly tackle everyone is Aaron Wan-Bissaka. The way that he just runs about chasing people everywhere and just flying into tackles. But I think Kante's kind of more graceful almost in the way he wins the ball back. He's much more like reserved Whereas you see Wan-Bissaka flying into slide tackles all over the place. Kante just sticks in a foot, taps the ball away, no problem.
He knows what he's doing.
But it's not just he taps the ball away. He somehow manages to kick it in the perfect place for the Chelsea team, for the rest of the Chelsea team to get the ball back as well. It's just incredible. But that's a potential that he could go, which it'd be a very, very disappointing loss for Chelsea. But then again, Declan Rice, how he's played at West Ham, he could potentially fill that role.
His first kind of breakout season at defensive midfield, everyone was really hyping him up, and I didn't really see why. Like, he wins the ball back a fair amount, but he wasn't really offering anything on the ball. He wasn't really playing any good passes. He was just playing a safe pass, just recycling possession, which is useful. But this season, he was much better at driving forward, bringing the ball into attack, playing some more adventurous passes. And he also scored a couple of very nice goals.
Banger? Yeah, he did score a banger towards the end of the season. Was he a centre-back to begin with?
He started as a centre-back when he came through the academy, yeah, but he quickly kind of was converted to defensive midfield.
Well, the only disappointing thing about Declan Rice is the fact that we released him when he was in our academy.
Yeah.
So if we go and pay money for him, it's just kind of it's like a shooting ourselves in the foot.
I mean, to be honest,
really.
You two supporting Chelsea and Arsenal, you should be well used to that at this point. Losing players from your academy.
It's ridiculous. I mean, Chelsea especially, the amount of academy
De Bruyne,
players that
Salah, Lukaku, the list goes on. And then Arsenal, of course, Gnabry and Daniel Marlin, who's at PSV, doing really well.
Oh God, we're going. My club is. It's a shame to see my club. I would just let another youngster go. You won't know him yet, probably not, but you'll know him soon. Sam Greenwood was sold to.
I heard the name.
Yeah, I saw about that.
Name, but yeah,
I saw some clips of him playing for Arsenal to 23s, and his quality. Man. And then we've got another one going as well called Following Balogun.
Yeah, I do know him. He's got apparently good. Where's he going?
He was linked with Brentford.
Oh really?
And then because they're offering that 8 mil.
Yeah, well they could do with some attacking reinforcements. It looks like they're going to be losing some people. We'll get onto that a bit later.
But I mean, the biggest loss I reckon for Chelsea, I mean, is Willian.
Yeah. To be fair, he had a really good season.
I mean, loss-wise,
his best season in a Chelsea shirt.
You've replaced him, though. That's the thing. It's not a loss because you've replaced him.
I don't think it could be that detrimental to Chelsea. At the end of the day, he's 33 or whatever, and on big wages.
But it's a big loss. I mean, he's done so much for us. In terms of the way he wins the ball back, the way he sets. Like, I think Willian has been amazing for us setting up attacks. In the past couple of years, he gets that ball back deep, sets up the attack, sends someone on their way, crosses a ball in. I think he's actually been a lot better than Chelsea fans think he has been.
Yeah.
So it's quite a big loss in that respect. I mean, we've got Ziyech. I personally think Ziyech is better, but
we'll see at the end of the day.
But I have some breaking news.
Go on.
Arsenal just announced. Arteta has just announced in a press conference Emi Martinez is extremely close to agreeing a new contract.
Oh, that's good. That's good news for Arsenal. Speaking of Arsenal, anyway,
let's go into that. Actually, can we just talk about a goalkeeper situation real quick? Because that is actually mad.
Yeah.
The fact that it was a nasty injury to Bernd Leno. I'm not so angry at what's his face now from Brighton, flipping what's his name?
David Raya, isn't it, from Brentford, that you're bringing in?
Oh, yeah, we were looking at... I was going to talk about Leno's injury, because Leno was injured and we had Martinez.
Matt Ryan, wasn't it, who did it? And
no, it was
Neil Maupay.
Maupay, yeah. Maupay
kind of
obviously
combining.
Winning for that sort of 50-50, which wasn't a 50-50, but let's not go into arguments.
Yeah. That debate has been...
We've had that debate enough. So...
How long is he out for? Is he still going to be out for quite a while? Or is he coming back?
No, he's back now. He played in the pre-season friendly.
Oh, it's good. That's good news for Arsenal. He's a very good keeper.
That's the problem, isn't it? Because we were like, well, that's our best keeper gun, and then we were like, oh, we got Emi Martinez, who we thought
everybody kind of thought he was
terrible.
Everybody kind of thought he was just a very average keeper. I mean, he spent so much time out on loan. He never really made many appearances out on loan. He spent some time with Wolves, and
he did.
He only made a couple of appearances, and I don't remember being particularly impressed by him.
The last
he's spent
appearance I
some time at
remember him
Reading.
making in a serious competition was that FA Cup game with Reading.
Yeah.
When we conceded like 5 goals. And that was
Yeah. What a game that was. Jeez.
No, yeah. But like when he came on, he was amazing.
He was really
arguably
good. He was very, very
one
impressive.
of the best goalkeepers at that time. In the league, and he was just.
He's developed a cult following, hasn't he? Everybody, he's like a bit of a cult hero now at Arsenal.
He is, and that was kind of worried that it was like, well, what happens now? Because when Leno comes back, does he get the number 1 shirt again? Does he come back and play?
Yeah,
do we give it to Martinez?
You would imagine that Leno will be the starter, and that's kind of why Martinez was linked with leaving.
He wanted to leave. There was like
Aston Villa, I think. Leeds, yeah.
Villa were going to make Villa were preparing a £10 million offer, which should be instantly rejected. For 10 mil, I'm talking 20 at least. I need like 25 really, because he's that good.
Yeah. You've been linked recently, if he doesn't sign a new contract, with Brentford's goalkeeper David Raya, the Spanish goalkeeper. He's 24 years old, I think.
Yeah, I watched him in the final, the what do you even call it? Playoff final in the championship, and he did so good until he
made that horrible mistake.
Yeah, that's kind of 101. I'm a Sunday League goalkeeper, and I know that. I mean, the guy came off so far. Yeah,
I haven't seen that much from him. Most of the stuff I know about him comes from me actually using him in an FM save, Football Manager save, where I actually sold him to Arsenal for about 20 million. So the bit of irony there. But
he
looks like a thoroughly decent keeper. But at the end of the day, if you can keep Emi Martinez, it's just cheaper. It's just better. He's proven himself as a decent quality keeper.
We got him for like 700k as well, so it's great to have him to keep him. If we sell him, we make pretty much like all profit.
Yeah,
I'd love to see him honestly, and I'm one of the minorities here. I'd rather see us sell Leno over Martinez, just because you can get a higher fee for Leno. And then Martinez, I think, is actually better than Martinez.
But how long did Martinez play? How many games did he play for? Because
he played I think he played 6 or 7 league games, and then he played semi-final for FA Cup, final FA Cup final. He played in the Community Shield, and in all those games, he hasn't had like a bad game.
He was very impressive against us. I remember we had a couple of big chances. With the likes of, I think it was Adama Traore running through, and he made a really good save there.
And in the Community Shield, he made an amazing save against Sadio Mane. Like he came out, like he timed his run perfectly.
Yeah, and he just
came out, saved it. It was really, really good. And he fits Arteta's playstyle better. He uses his feet much better than Leno does.
Yeah, Leno's had a couple of shockers with playing out from the back, hasn't he?
Do you remember the Watford game? It was Watford where we ended up drawing 2-2.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yeah,
and it was a mistake that had from playing up from the back, and then Doucouré just took it and banged it in, and that's an example of why I prefer Martinez. The goals we scored that started with him.
That must have been one of Emery's last games. That game.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
because
it was.
I seem to remember the previous week. Watford had been battered 8-0 by Manchester City, and then they came and drew 2-2 with Arsenal. It was embarrassing.
It was bad.
Bad.
But anyway, David Raya, not the only player from Brentford linked with moving to Arsenal in the last couple of days. We've also been linked with the attacker, Saïd Benrahma, who...
What a player.
Arguably been the best player in the Championship this season.
He has been amazing. He is really good. I like the look of him. The problem I have is we don't need any more wingers. Yeah, we just don't. got. I don't want to see Saka having started growth because we've signed Benrahma.
I definitely get what you mean.
Like Zaha, we were linked with as
Considering how impressive Saka was against Liverpool in the Community Shield as well.
He made a sick pass yesterday. He got an assist yesterday, the only assist, and he made a 40-yard pass.
Yeah,
it was almost perfect to Aubameyang. Who then just. I mean, most of it was Aubameyang doing that amazing finish. No one would have expected him to do it, but it was still such a great pass from Saka.
Yeah.
And to see someone else have to be in his position when he literally slots in like 4 different positions. He can do left back, left wing, right wing, and he can even play in midfield. Like,
Yeah, he's such a big
what else do we
prospect,
need
Bukayo
to do?
Saka.
So good.
I mean, Benrahma, if you don't want him, I'll have him at Chelsea in January.
Yeah,
You
I'm more than
bit-
happy to
bit
take
more
him
on
because we were
Benrahma.
linked with him right at the start of the season. At the start of the transfer window.
Yeah.
Even if he doesn't go to Arsenal or Chelsea, he's surely someone who will get a move to the Premier League at some point before the
Oh
season
yeah,
starts.
definitely.
Yeah.
He's got
I
so
could
much
feel like
quality.
a mid-table team if no one else got a mid-table
Or
team.
someone
would
like
go for it, at
Everton,
least.
even. I mean, I
Everton would
would
be good.
certainly not be opposed to seeing him at Wolves.
Yeah.
It's just finesse on the ball. It's
yeah,
just,
he's just got that. Like,
it's so
culture
interesting to
and
watch him
technique.
play.
And he's
Everton
such
just
a
need
clever
creativity.
player.
We sold Iwobi for like 40 mil to Everton, which is amazing because he's made.
He did absolutely nothing last season, did he?
I think he
Scored
has
one
like, he has one goal or one assist, one of the two.
Yeah,
and that's
all
season. Which
not
is
gone well, that
really
one.
bad.
Um,
we
but-
gave him time over Gnabry, which is, I mean,
But talking about goals, Aubameyang, how
Aubameyang's
many
goal.
flipping
Wow.
goals? He's saved
Oh my god,
Arsenal.
he is the best striker.
What would you do without
Surely.
him? Well,
He's like
you bet
45% of our
you
goals.
better be hoping that you aren't without him next season. When he potentially leaves on a
Yeah.
free transfer,
Sign the team.
sign the
please.
contract. That's what
We
you
need
need.
to sign it.
What's
Apparently
the
he's
latest
agreed.
with it?
Well, apparently what's happening is it's been agreed, but they're playing really coy about it. So they're just waiting for announcements. According to all the people that I think that are in Arsenal, they're saying the things have been agreed. Either he has signed or it's just been agreed, and we're just waiting for some
Okay.
sort of formal announcement.
Oh,
The amount
yeah,
of leaks there have been of people just taking
Yeah.
videos of them taking videos of Aubameyang, like promotion
Right.
videos, and like we're just waiting. We just want to see them now. I don't
The
care
waiting
about
game is the
them.
longest thing ever, though. I mean, we're waiting on Kai Havertz, and it's
Yeah,
Yeah.
but in the meantime, you guys have had stuff. We made one signing this season, which was a free transfer, which we knew was going to happen anyway.
Well,
Whereas
I
you
don't-
guys are literally having like
it's-
advent calendars, like, oh, it's a new day. Who do we sign?
but it's so
fair.
stressful. It's like you get told, oh, there's a potential that it'll be announced on Thursday. Nothing gets announced. Potential Friday. Nothing gets announced.
Oh, you
Okay,
guys,
we'll wait for Monday then.
You guys
Nothing
are
happens.
in a better situation than us. I mean, we've just sold Matt Doherty, and
Yeah, best right.
we don't seem to be signing anyone at all.
Yeah.
Which is a bit worrying for you
But-
because I haven't had any
Yeah.
rumours. There was Maitland-Niles, which apparently is
Well,
now
yeah.
dead in the war. Well, Arteta. so
Well,
he does not
after
want to sell
his very impressive performance in the Community Shield, he won Man of the Match, didn't he?
it. Yeah,
yeah.
It looks like Arsenal
we have to
have
keep him.
upped
We
the
have to
asking
keep him.
price to much higher, and
Yeah.
potentially even want to get him to sign a new contract, which is a heck of a turnaround after just a few days ago when it looked like he was set to leave for 20 million. But
Need to
I think
sign him up. Man.
it just makes sense from Arsenal's perspective to keep him. He's a very versatile player. He's a very talented young player.
Yeah,
And
23. The guy's 23. I keep forgetting he's 23 and he can play left back, right back, centre mids. You can probably stick him as centre back. He'd do all right.
yeah.
Like he's that good. I really like him.
Yeah.
Hope he stays.
And of
We
course,
sell him.
But
we need to
especially if Bellerin's going,
Yeah.
you need to keep him for that right back spot.
Yeah.
Bellerin's been linked to a few clubs, particularly PSG.
I like that link. Because the whole point in this is that we're trying to get rid of one of them. So originally it was going to be Maitland-Niles. We need to generate funds for the Gabriel deal, hopefully for the Party deal. And so originally we were going to sell Maitland-Niles. But, I mean, if it's Bellerin to PSG...
You could
PSG
probably
have
get
money.
more money for Bellerin from
Yeah, we
PSG,
would.
couldn't you? And
Exactly.
from PSG's
I like
perspective, I think that makes sense.
need
They've
a
got
right
they've
back.
let
And Juve won it
Thomas
as well.
Meunier
Juve did a
go
right
to
back as well.
Dortmund, and we saw in the Champions League final they had to use a centre back, Tilo Kehrer, in right
I
back,
felt sorry
and
for
he
him
got
because he was dealing with
terrorised by
Davis.
Kingsley Coman.
It's just winning circles around him.
Yeah,
The guy was practically waiting on the halfway line for the counter while
Yeah.
they were on the attack. Like he's just sitting there because he knows
Uh,
the moment Davis or Coleman have the ball, he's not catching them. It's a shame, and he's young.
yeah.
Like Kerry is a young guy, and for him to have to deal with that, so
It
young,
was-
is
it was-
difficult.
good
It was not. It was
experience,
quite
though.
painful to watch. Yeah,
It was like watching Year 11s versus Year 7. It's just like that. It was peak.
Here's some experience. This is what you got to cope with.
but
Really
yeah.
cool.
The final thing to touch on with Arsenal, of course, being you mentioned a few minutes ago, Gabriel Magalhaes looks to be almost done coming in from
I hope
Lille.
so. Well, there's loads of talk, but then okay. Can I just talk about how weird my fans are? Did you see the thread? There was a thread. He put a photo on his story, a boomerang on his Instagram story.
Yeah.
And these guys, literally, they verified the cloud patterns to verify that he was in London. They figured out the make and model of the car he was in because of the sunroof. And then they were like, oh, this is the car he's in. And this is the car Arsenal used to transport their new signings.
Oh, my God.
There was people secretly outside the training park, just waiting for him to walk in. And someone snapped a photo of him walking in and out. It was hilarious.
This is what happens if you don't make good signings.
We don't get a lot of things to be happy about, so when we do, we hold on to it for dear life.
But yeah, it is certainly, I think, something to be happy about, this signing, because he looks like a really talented prospect in the French league, to be fair, which isn't as good. But he's good on the ball. He's very physically powerful, strong in the air and fast. And he looks like he could be made for the Premier League with his physicality and also with his ability to play the ball out from the back. So, and hopefully for Arsenal, you can kind of build a centre-back partnership for the next 10, 12 years with him and William Saliba, who's finally arrived. Finally
here. It's so good to see him, honestly. Like, just to see him in an Arsenal shirt.
Yeah, and then
he made one tackle, and there was like 4 or 5 Twitter videos. One tackle, like it was a good tackle.
Well, it does leave you.
Yeah, Arsenal fans definitely hold on to things.
It does leave you in the situation that you have a lot of centre backs. You've got obviously you brought in Pablo Mari in January, and he obviously got injured pretty much straight away, but he'll be back soon.
The myth, the legend.
You've got Mustafi, Socrates, got Callum Chambers, Rob Holding.
Oh, you're missing
Callum Chambers is a weird one because he can play centre back, CDM, right back, and all those positions we don't need him in.
Yeah.
So where does he go? Do we keep him because he's looked good in right back, but now we have 3 other right backs, so I don't really know what happens there.
Yeah. You're missing the best centre back here.
Who?
Well, the man, the myth, the legend,
David Luiz.
Oh my God! Yeah,
of course.
I know the thing is with David Luiz is I know everyone slates him, right? But he is the oldest and most experienced right centre back we have in our club. So
he's playing in the wrong position. He's a CDM. I've said this since he played the CDM for Chelsea right at the start.
And he does look good. I watched it when you told me it the first time. I watched a video of him playing in CDM, and he does actually look
because when he's in CDM, he doesn't have the responsibility of if he has a defensive lapse, they're not in behind on goal.
Yeah.
So, and he can pass a ball. He can really pass a ball.
David Luiz good in like a back 3 though, because when he plays in the back 3, he plays in the middle, and he's basically playing as a CDM. Which is why people like him so much.
Bit similar to the way Connor Cody plays. Stepping out,
I've only watched him
pushing forward.
That's why you play 5 at the back with him, right?
And just spraying passes everywhere.
Yeah, he can really ping it. He can.
Yeah.
But I feel like under Arteta, everybody other than Socrates, for some reason he doesn't like him, has looked a lot better. Even Mustafi, he made a few. For some reason, he went really stupid in the Tottenham game in the North London derby, but. Other than that, he's been making some insane passes, some sick tackles. Even El Neni! El Neni was the best Egyptian player on the pitch in the Community Shield yesterday. Salah was there. The guy scored, I think it was like a 40, 50-yard goal against MK Dons in the friendly. Like
I haven't seen the goal, but I saw a lot of people saying, what on earth is happening? Mohamed El Neni is scoring 40-yard bangers.
It was insane. It was really, really cool. So I think it's just about how good of a coach Arteta is. Like if you have a good coach, most players can look really good.
Yeah.
Which means imagine if you had the best players. Like imagine if you had Galacticos. Like he'd be sick. Like it'd be so good.
Morale is such a big thing in football. We saw it with Man U. The fact that before January transfer window, they were in the bin.
Yeah, and then Bruno
not doing well.
Come in. Bang! That morale's gone up. Everybody's playing brilliantly, really. Martial, Rashford, and of course Bruno, Big Bruno, the penalty master.
But that's the thing with morale. It's such a massive thing in sport because if you're not confident or happy with what's going on at the minute, you're not going to be thinking about the game as much as you should be. You'll be thinking about, if I make this pass and it's too dangerous, then oh, I'm going to get shouted at and the morale's going to be down. Whereas when you know that you've got faith in your centre mid, your manager to make that pass, you'll make that risk. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to work.
Yeah, because
it would do.
When the confidence is flowing, you know that you're a player with the quality to be able to do this stuff. Whereas
you feel like prime Barcelona.
If you're not, then
Xavi and Iniesta in the middle.
Yeah. But anyway, we've discussed Arsenal for a long time. We've discussed Ainsley Maitland-Niles. I think it's time we discussed where we thought he would be going, which is
Big Wolves.
The Molineux
Wolverhampton Wanderers.
Wanderers.
I kind of feel bad for you, to be honest.
Desperately need some signings.
Who are you linked with, honestly? I haven't had any links.
Yeah. It's looking a bit bleak at the moment, to be honest, because everybody was talking about Maitland-Niles, and it looked like it was just going to happen. And I was thinking, yes, this would be a great signing, and I was almost just ready to just see that announcement, and I just assumed it was going to happen. And then he played really well in the Community Shield, and now it's not going to happen, which is fantastic. And we sold Matt Doherty to Spurs for 15 million, and that makes me sad.
Well, I don't get that. I mean, there was a video released on Twitter recently. Oh my days, what a mug.
My guy is doing a video of him deleting all of his tweets about how much he loves Arsenal. Oh my god, it's so good. Listen, it isn't a problem. Let me just... Doherty, right, my G, it's okay if you're a gooner at heart, because half the Tottenham squad are. Kane is a gooner. Sissoko is a gooner. Ori is a gooner. It's all right.
It's just... It's so tragic. It's so tragic.
There's no real Tottenham fans anymore. There's just Arsenal fans who couldn't get in. That's it now.
But there's no loyalty in football anymore.
Oh, of
loyalty has
not.
gone out. It's binned. It's money, mate.
Everyone complains about me.
Mate, Leighton Baines, he's still at Everton.
He retired. He's retired now. He retired this season, isn't it? So he's the last one.
Well, never mind.
It looks like the onny team that's not caring about money is Wolves. So selling players for 15 mil.
Richest club in the Prem. You have the money. You're not spending it.
Yeah, I don't.
Well,
we've been linked with spending it at times. We've been quite heavily linked with a midfielder called Palhinha, who is at Braga. He's 25 years old, and he looks like your very traditional ball-winning, harder man at the base of midfield, who can also play centre-back. Well, I personally, I think a lot of Wolves fans prefer to see Ruben Neves a bit higher up the pitch, where he can influence the attack more.
Yeah, so, is like a I suppose a bit like a Bruno Fernandes. He
is a bit like
pick
that.
Yeah, pass out.
He plays those. He's more deep lying than Bruno Fernandes. He's not the attacking midfielder.
Yeah.
But
he's
more
you more tend to see him playing.
Get him on the edge of the box, and you're scoring goals galore.
Yeah, and the problem with having a player like Ruben Neves and a player like João Moutinho in a two-man midfield is there isn't a whole lot of mobility, and there's not a whole lot of defensive work being done. Like Moutinho, he puts in a lot of tackles and he puts a shift in for sure, but he's 34 years old and he can't do that forever. Because the amount of energy he puts in on the pitch, like at some point, that's not gonna be happening anymore, and we're gonna need someone who can actually properly defend in the midfield to free up Neves and Moutinho to properly just create chance after chance after chance, because that's what they're good at.
But then, what formation would you play 4 at the back instead, and use that spare centre back in midfield?
Who knows, mate? We've played 3 in midfield before.
I think a 3 in midfield
3 at the back when
we've
had Dendoncker and Moutinho and Neves all in the same midfield. But Dendonker's not really that defensive midfielder, even though he half the time plays at centre back, and you'd assume that he's basically a defensive midfielder. He's actually way more box to box, and he pushes very far forward. You see him more advanced than Raul Jimenez at times, making runs into the box and just creating space. So he's much more of an attacking presence than you'd expect. So maybe bringing in a proper defensive midfielder could be beneficial to us.
Oh yeah, and then that's another position that Wolves really need to fill, is that striker role, because you've got Raul Jimenez as your pretty much only striker.
Yeah, I mean, on the bench against Sevilla when we went out of the Europa League, the only striker on the bench was young Leonardo Campana, who has yet to make a senior appearance for us. And he's a prospect for sure, but we can't be relying on him to back up one of the best strikers in the league. I'll say it.
Don't know how I feel about that, but you can be up here with us if you like. We'll let you in.
But of course, with Doherty going, our most desperate position now is at right back, because we don't have a senior right back now.
I don't
the only option we've got is Oscar Burr, who has made like 3 senior appearances for us. And in fairness, you know what? He has actually been okay in those senior appearances, and I know a lot of Wolves fans would quite like to see him get a bit more game time. But we need a right back. And
I think you need depth.
Yeah,
you've got no depth to the team.
We definitely need a couple of wing backs, to say the least, because Johnny's injured for a long time, at least 6 months. So we need a left back, because we can't just rely on Vinagre, and we need probably 2 right backs. And one of those right backs we've been linked to is Jesus Corona from Porto.
Isn't he a midfielder?
He kind of has made his name as a winger, but the last couple of seasons he's been playing a lot as a right back, and he's defensively, his numbers are really good. A lot of tackles, a lot of interceptions, and because obviously of his time as a winger, a lot of dribbles and attacking output as well. So potentially, if we brought him in, he would be a really good fit as a right wing back.
And he's Brazilian,
potentially
right?
Not. He's Mexican, actually.
Oh, Mexican. Oh, okay.
So that's another potential good thing for Wolves, because we've already got a big following in Mexico because of Raul Jimenez. So commercially, bringing in another Mexican could be very appealing to the board.
Surprised he's not Portuguese.
He's his agent.
Well,
not George.
I think Jorge Mendes probably is his agent.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
So, even if he's not Portuguese, we're still buying from Portugal.
Yeah, you are. Yeah.
Goodness sake.
How old is he?
There's one link somewhere. But
when we were linked to Ainsley Maitland-Niles, we were all like, "What? What is this? We're signing a Premier League player? No way!"
It's incredible.
Back to Liga NOS again.
How many English starters do you actually have?
Portuguese.
Is it just Cody?
We've got Connor Cody, of course, and we had Ryan Bennett. He's back at the club from his loan spell at Leicester, but I doubt we'll see any game time for him.
That's it. That is actually it.
Gibbs White.
Gibbs White is on loan at Swansea now.
Yeah. You have to have some though, right? You have to have a certain amount of homegrown players, so you need.
Yeah.
Some. I can't think about who else
you
have.
Thankfully, I think partly we've got a lot of these young Portuguese guys have been at the club for quite a while, so they might actually count as homegrown. I'm just getting my knowledge from Football Manager, but
that little blue H.
Hopefully, the likes of Pedro Neto and Bruno Jordao and even and Ruben Vinagre, hopefully would have that would apply for that registration rule.
Yeah,
but we definitely need a lot of squad depth at the club.
Oh yeah,
so, because at the end of the day, the aims of the club are to break into the top 6, which we nearly did last season. We weren't quite able to do it, partly maybe because of the Europa League schedule.
Yeah, it's a bit brutal,
messing with us a little bit in terms of stamina. But can we do it next season with this squad?
Well,
I don't know.
That's the big question.
How about we make our Big 6 predictions for this season? It's a new dawn, a new season.
Does any of us think that Wolves can get into it? Does any of us think that Leicester can stay in it?
And no.
What about
right. But I think.
All right. Shall we start with each of us saying who we think will come 6th? I'll go first. I've put Spurs in 6th.
I have also put Spurs in 6th.
I've put Spurs as well.
We've all put Spurs in 6th. That shows our somewhat lack of faith in Jose Mourinho.
He's past his best. The guy he's
Yeah, I
finished
think
now.
it's
Honestly,
very
he's
founded.
not. He isn't really up there as like one of the top managers anymore. The guy celebrated
No, I
getting
don't
Europa
think-
League
I agree with you
qualifying rounds. Like he's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a different game now to what he's
He made his
what he
name
played
in a
his
much
style.
more defensive era of
Part of the bus.
football. I mean, he kind of created that defensive era of football.
Oh, yeah,
he was the
definitely.
pioneer of that. Creating that great Chelsea team with the best defence in Premier League history, and winning the Champions League with Porto based on their really good defence and also a somewhat lucky run of teams. And then at Inter Milan, we won the treble backed by that a brilliant defensive lineup again. But now we're in the era of pressing
Guardiola
teams,
and-
of Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp, and this whole host of new young managers who are coming through and they want to do high pressing systems, a lot of energy, and it's not really
Doesn't really suit him.
doesn't really suit Jose Mourinho.
It's a real shame that that's
No,
how it
I
was,
mean-
really, because he seems like such a good manager. It seems like it's sad to see
I
someone do that.
I do miss the old Jose Mourinho. He was always a bit like, he had that glint in his eye. He was a bit mischievous.
He's a character.
He
was
was
a
always
hilarious
always
manager.
creating drama and
He was an
tension.
entertaining manager.
Uh,
Him
it
and
was-
Wenger.
he was definitely
Yeah.
entertaining, but now he's just a bit sour,
Past his best.
just a bit bitter.
Yeah.
But I think
But yeah, let's move on to our number 5,
Right.
in which I have put Leicester City.
Ooh,
put
Okay.
Leicester. Okay.
Jacob, who have you
Uh,
gone
Yeah.
So controversial. It's so difficult amount of people here, but like good teams. But I actually said Chelsea. Yeah, in 5th place. Yeah.
for? Chelsea in
So
fifth.
Ooh,
no,
that
I
is a
know
hot
it's
take.
hard. I
Two
know
hot
it's
takes
hard.
from the both of you.
completely
Let me-
disagree with
let
Two
me-
that.
let me
hot takes from the
explain
both of
my-
you.
oh, go on, you
I have gone for Arsenal in fifth.
Okay, let me explain myself. All right, let me explain myself. Sorry. Right, you have a great team. Chelsea's team looks amazing. If you get Kai Havertz, you're gonna look amazing. You've got creativity, you've got finishing, you've got this and that and the other. My problem is Frank Lampard. I don't think he is the kind of manager
What?
to manage that big of a dressing room and that amount of skill and know how to use the power that he has in front of him to the best of its ability. And that's why I think he's not
See,
the man
I mean,
to get you into top 4.
I personally
Oh, you
disagree
wouldn't?
with that because, I mean, one of the reasons why Werner, Ziyech, Havertz, Ben Chilwell, they've all came out and said that one of the main reasons that they've joined Chelsea is because of what
he's a Premier
Lampard
League
has said to
legend.
them in
He's a
what
Premier
he
League.
wants the club to do.
He does
I
certainly
mean-
have that pulling power of being one of the greatest Premier League players of all time, and people
Oh, yeah.
want to play for him. The question does remain: is he up to the task? We will see that next season for
I mean,
sure.
He's
I'm
shown
sure
that he
Ewan's
can
got a lot of faith.
He's not afraid to change the system,
Yeah.
depending on what team he plays against.
And he's
I mean,
also,
we came 4th in the league.
I think, credit to him, he's not afraid to say to one of his big players, if you're not playing well, you're
The
not
whole
going
thing
to play.
with Kepa.
He said it
Yeah,
to
exactly.
Tammy Abraham.
It's mad how well he handled it. I think like he was very professional. A lot of newer managers that are new to the game might find it difficult to deal with something like that and keep the dressing room all happy and keep the dressing room sort of like intact, because that can really ruin your career if you lose the dressing room. So I have to rate him for that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Ewan, you've put Leicester in 5th. Why? What makes you think that they are able to maintain their
I mean,
position from last season?
Leicester had a bit of a blip at the end of the season that cost them massively. But I mean, they have some great players in their
100%.
team. They've shown that they can perform at the top level and almost compete with Man City. I know Man City weren't playing well at the start of the season, but they were essentially competing against them for that second spot. And I just think that as a team of that magnitude and what they can perform at is they can get that 5th spot. I mean, it's not too difficult to get to in terms of their caliber. It's not
The problem is
asking
with them
much
getting
of
to it is
them.
how long can they hold it for? Because they got it last season. They got it last season, and then they lost it because they couldn't hack it. So that's the real question.
I mean, we say they lost it. I'm putting them fifth. I'm not putting them in third or fourth. It's a pretty standard position for them to come. I don't think it's too much to ask for them. I don't think it's anything special to get to fifth really for that team. But yeah, that's what I think.
From my perspective, you called it a blip at the end of the season. It was basically the entire second half of the season. It was the fans.
Really it was the lack of fans. I think. It happened with a lot of teams.
True, that was definitely had a big impact on them, and a couple of big injuries as well throughout the season. Ricardo Pereira missed the entire second half of the season. He's a big player for them, and James Maddison had a few injury struggles as well. He's still injured now.
He just signed a new contract for them now, so he's going to be there for another 4 years.
That's why he wasn't called up for the England squad. But he has signed a new contract, and that'll be good for them. And they've certainly got a lot of quality players. They've got Ndidi. They've got Harvey Barnes, who looks like a really good prospect. But I've got a few issues with partly can Jamie Vardy continue to be one of the best strikers in the league? He's like 33, going on 34.
He's not showing that he's dropping though.
But to be fair, we've been saying this about him for years. Can Jamie Vardy continue this level of performance, considering he relies on pace and he's getting on? We've been saying it every single build up to a Premier League season. People say, "Will this be the year Jamie Vardy drops off a cliff?" And it hasn't happened yet. And there's every chance it won't happen this season. But it could. And I don't know. I think potentially a 7th place finish for Leicester is
plus all the rest of the competition starting to heat up as well.
I think that's still perfectly good.
They haven't signed. They haven't bought anybody. I don't think, as far as I know.
Yeah, they haven't signed.
It's a game of keeping up, isn't it? Really.
Or maybe they've signed
to keep up with all the clubs. So with Chelsea doing
keep up
and
the
United
spending.
They're trying to fight for it. City have done it. Liverpool haven't, which is we'll get to in a bit, but it's keeping up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But Arsenal in 5th, you put?
I've put Arsenal in 5th. I think it'll definitely be. I mean, you can't really get any worse than last season. No, and I think a big potential benefit for you going into the season will be no European football. I think
we've got it.
That could help you.
We have it because we
push back into that. Push back into.
I was gonna say they're in Europa League.
Of course, they won the FA Cup.
No,
never mind. That point goes out the window. But yeah, I think a full season under Arteta, you definitely improved quite a lot after you sacked Emery and brought in Mikel Arteta. I think a full pre-season of him really getting his ideas across, a couple of new signings, including Gabriel and Willian, to just improve the depth and the quality in depth, and particularly in defence. And I think I think it comes down to managerial ability. Arteta's clearly a better manager to me than Jose Mourinho. So so I mean, you can't say for certain, obviously, but I think they'll be better than Spurs, and I think they'll probably be better than Leicester as well. But that's about it.
So that 4th spot.
So 4th.
Go on, Sam. What's your 4th?
I've gone for Manchester United.
I have also gone for Manchester United.
I went for Arsenal for 4th.
Yes, I thought you might.
Yeah. So let's go to you. Why have you said Manchester United?
I mean, they've not made any outrageous signings. They struggled to get Sancho, which is quite hilarious.
It's so sad. That whole Sancho thing was upsetting. Like the amount of fans that must have just hated Ed Woodward's guts for that is,
yeah,
jeez.
But I mean, after Bruno Fernandes has joined the squad, you've got Pogba that is now more excitable and is now wanting to actually play for the club.
And fully fit as well, because he spent a lot of the season out injured.
Yeah, wow. Playing basketball, dancing, pretty serious injury, to be fair to him. No, I don't know the circumstances of what was happening, but I think that they've got a solid team that can perform. I mean, you've got Rashford and Martial that are fantastic up top. You've got the amazing midfield there.
Bruno
You've got
Fernandes
potential
as well,
Dean Henderson in goal that is an incredible
The
keeper.
problem with them is their defense, though. Like it just isn't good enough. I don't think it's.
Yeah, I mean, although I mean, maybe it's more tactical, and maybe Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is actually a very good defensive manager. They did overall their defensive record last season was good.
Yeah,
It was very good.
Yeah.
But they don't. Their defense, it's like it's got quality, but it's inconsistent. You can see the mistakes.
Yeah.
Almost before they happen. Sometimes you can just tell that every now and again Harry Maguire is going to have
No look defender.
a nightmare,
But
or
we've also
Lindelof is
also
going to
seen
make a mistake somewhere, or something along those lines. But I think
we've also seen
Yeah.
that Chelsea, that have had a dreadful defensive record, but have got great goal scorers up top, have managed to come fourth from last season.
yeah,
So fourth isn't too difficult to ask.
yeah.
Really,
I think
as long as they don't
I think
massively screw up.
yeah, and I think I think the defense is okay. I think it's decent. They've certainly got as I said, they had a good defensive record last season. So combine that with the attacking quality that they have, I think they'll be fine next season.
Let's
I
look
think
at,
they'll
real
qualify for
quick
Champions
though
League again.
about that attacking quality, because there's no doubt that it's there, but you can't deny they're very reliant on their penalties. If you took that out, you took the penalties
I
out,
do see what you.
they'd
Yeah,
be
we
gone.
I
we
agree.
saw it a lot last season. The amount of penalties
Like,
they
is
had
that
was
20
crazy.
wasn't it? Like, or like 21.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Man United fans will get a bit unhappy with people saying that they're penalty reliant, but you can't deny that they had so many penalties last season, and a lot of times they relied on penalties to win games. But at the same time,
A lot of them were just.
they won the
Your
they did
attackers have
win
got
the
to draw those
penalties
fouls,
by
though.
yeah they
They've got the
won the
dribbling
penalties
skills
by
in
getting
their-
into
in their
dangerous
locker.
attacking positions.
Martial and Rashford
I mean-
dribble like that, like really well, so they can do it.
Yeah, they're good dribblers. They're good at winning penalties.
I mean, one of the greatest players. Well, I think he's my favourite player of all time, and one of the greatest Premier League players, Eden Hazard. The amount of times he got tackled, and part of his game was purely just drawing that foul.
Winning fouls is a skill, for sure. There are some players who are really good at it. Hazard's always been great at it. Jack Grealish is really good at it. So it's definitely, it's nothing to be sniffed at. Winning a lot of penalties is not a bad thing. So,
Oh no!
but yeah, they maybe need to work on scoring more goals from open play. But I think they've got enough quality to do that, and they can finish fourth for sure next season. Maybe even third.
Possibly.
We'll see. We'll see. It'll be interesting, that battle between various clubs next season.
Well,
but I
did you-
think Man United will be the fourth best team in the league next season.
Who did you put Jacob in
I
fourth?
can justify that real quick. So,
Yeah.
in the last, like, what was it, 2-3 months, we have beaten Liverpool, City. We beat Liverpool twice. We beat City once. We beat Chelsea. We didn't beat United. We didn't beat United under Arteta. But
The referee
I
beat
think-
Chelsea.
I think we have the manager. This is what I mean. I think people are vastly underrating the power of a manager, which is why I think Chelsea will finish outside. Arteta has made our mediocre squad look like Galacticos. And I think with him at the helm, running it, we can break into the top four, get ourselves into the Champions League, because that's what we desperately need. We need the Champions League money, and he understands how badly we need it. And we've looked really good in all of our tournaments, apart from the Europa League, which is early days for him. We've looked really strong. So I think if we carry on that form, we'll break in. And people won't see it coming, but we will.
Mm-hmm. Okay, right. Moving on to third place.
So that's a good tension.
Jacob, who have you picked for your third place team?
So third place, put Man United.
United.
It was difficult because I really wanted to put Arsenal ahead of Man United and put United in fourth. But I just don't see us.
Yeah. You've got to be a little bit realistic.
A little bit.
I was gonna say, I mean, I know you support them, but come on.
They're a strong team, so yeah. Go on. What did you say, Sam, for third?
I've put Chelsea. I think Chelsea, their recruitment has obviously been brilliant this summer. The amount of attacking talent that they've brought in looks scary, and they've made some recent defensive improvements as well. And I think it'll definitely be enough for them to be, I think, comfortably the third best team in the league. I think we'll see the top two, and there'll be a gap to Chelsea, and then there'll be a gap to the rest. I think Chelsea are definitely going to be the third best team in the league this season.
Ewan, what about you?
And I'm guessing Ewan agrees with
I have
me.
gone for arguably the most controversial
here
team
we go.
Okay.
out of everything. I
Whoa.
put Liverpool.
Third.
Do you know what? I
Oh.
can understand where he's coming from that, because I thought about Liverpool, whether or not they're going to finish.
So hear me out, yeah. So my thought is, right, last year, don't get me wrong, points-wise, they absolutely annihilated the league. But if you look at their individual games, they didn't, like... they weren't winning
away.
games 5-0, 4-0, 3-1.
I certainly see what you're saying there.
So you've got that. Also, they've now played probably the best football they've played in the last 2 years, like incredibly. But teams are going to start to suss that out and understand how to beat them. For example, Chelsea have beaten them. The last couple of games of the season, there's probably not so much drive in it, but they were losing games.
Mm-hmm.
Arsenal have beaten them in the Community Shield.
We did.
Mm-hmm.
They've not exactly changed anything massive in their team. I mean, there's a potential for Thiago to sign for them.
Yeah.
But other than that, there's not a massive change. And teams will start to realise how they play. I mean, football's, as much as it's a physical sport, it's very mental when you play football. Because as soon as you know what someone's going to do, they now that attack is nullified. Is that the right word?
Yeah, I see.
Or nullified. And it's... So if teams can start to work that out, which is a potential this year, they could start to work that out. What have Liverpool really got? Because it's their front three that just go through teams.
Yeah.
I mean, their defence was quite shaky last year. Very much at the start of the season.
Moments.
So I mean, I've put them in third just because I reckon teams are going to suss them out. And
Okay.
but it's very very out there putting them in third.
Yeah, it's certainly a hot take, but I would, just to add to that, I think also Liverpool have got very lucky with injuries last season, because the drop-off from Salah, Firmino, Mane to then Minamino, Shaqiri and Origi is astronomical. That's such a massive drop-off in quality.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And you saw some of the injuries that were picked up for other teams in around them. Laporte out ages for Man City. That was a crucial injury that really changed the season. And like Leroy Sané out for the whole season for Man City as well.
Yeah.
Pulisic for
Pogba.
Chelsea spent a long time out. Pogba spent a long time out. But Liverpool, Kante of course as well. But Liverpool, who got injured for them, other than Alisson had a couple of spells on the sidelines, but they weren't particularly long. And
did Henderson have one at the end of the season?
Maybe a small injury, but nothing that really affected the outcome of the league title. So, and pretty much no injuries at all to their front three, who, despite them playing pretty much every single game in the Champions League and the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup and the Premier League. So will they get that look again next season?
We'll see.
It remains to be seen.
So who've we put in second? Sorry,
I have gone for Manchester
I've gone for
City
Liverpool
in
in
second.
second.
And
Okay.
I've put
Really?
the Blues.
Chelsea.
Wait, hang on.
Chelsea.
You're telling me
second.
you put Chelsea to win the league?
No. Oh wait, who?
Oh wait.
No, I put Chelsea in second.
I thought you meant Man City, the Blues.
To
Yeah.
be fair, when you said the
I
Blues,
don't know
that
why I
can
thought
mean
you-
Manchester City.
Yeah.
So
Nah, the Blues, the real Blues.
okay.
We've all gone for different
The
ones
Blue
this
Lions,
time,
mate.
So that's good. Sam,
Um,
why have you picked Man City.
I think at this point, when we're discussing second and why they wouldn't win the league, we might as well mention our first place positions as well. So I've put Liverpool.
Yeah.
I've put Liverpool in first. I think they'll win the league again, and Manchester City in second. And I think Liverpool do have so much quality, and they have, in my opinion, the best manager in the league. I think Jurgen Klopp is arguably the best manager in the world. I mean, who's better than him?
I mean, come on,
Frank Lampard.
calm down.
The only challenger is Pep Guardiola.
Can I just say my managers beat both of them?
I think last season. Okay. I mean, so was mine. I'm not claiming Nuno's the best manager in the world. So, anyway, last season I think there was some cracks in Pep Guardiola's philosophy, particularly in the Champions League against who did they lose to? Lyon. They got caught out by Lyon on a few occasions, and he tried to tinker with his tactical style, and he tried to do all these things, and it just seemed like he overthought it, and they kind of got battered in terms of scoreline at least. And in the league, he made some decisions at times that were a bit questionable. Like he struggled significantly when Laporte was injured, and he couldn't find a way.
He had no centre back
to replace him in defence, and I think he spent way too long trying to play like Fernandinho there and Rodri even there. I think he definitely should have given Eric Garcia a lot more minutes, because he's actually a centre back. And I don't know. I think they're still obviously an amazing team, and they've got an amazing attack, and there's every chance that they will finish first. But I think Liverpool have got so much quality in their attack and in their defence that they will be able to see it out again over the course of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I've put Man City to win it and Chelsea to come second. I mean, with a team that Frank's recruiting, we cannot, as a Chelsea fan, I cannot say that we're not going to be competing for the title this year. It'd be outrageous if we don't even attempt to compete or even slightly be in the top three.
Yeah.
And then also as a Chelsea fan, I'm a bit biased saying that we'll come second. But I do think with the team that we've got, we should be competing for the league title. And I think second's quite a nice spot to put that team in.
I think if we're not second, that's a huge achievement.
I mean, we're not good. I can't see it. Well, it'd be nice to win it, but the fact it's a new team, some of the players will be playing a new system. The chemistry's not going to be quite there. We've still got recovering injuries. From you've got Chilwell that won't be there to the start of the season. Pulisic is not going to be there to start the season. So that's our whole left hand side gone. So I think a second place would be quite nice with the team that we've got, and then Man City, they're going to be reacting to their dreadful season in the Prem with their, well, I say dreadful. The fact they couldn't compete with Liverpool like they did the last couple of seasons. They didn't do well in the Champions League. They're going to be coming back fiery. They're going to be wanting to state their claim on the Premier League again, wanting to win it and show Liverpool who really are the best team in the world.
Oh yeah, my one.
Okay.
I said Liverpool second and City to win. I believe City are actually going to come back this season. They're not going to take. They're not going to take that L lying down. And I don't think, honestly, Liverpool have the depth City do in quality to keep up. Liverpool have got quality players. Don't get me wrong, but they all play week in, week out. So you've got Salah, Mane, Van Dijk. Firmino, I guess you could put up there mainly for his assistance, creativity. Trent, those are all starters. Whereas for City, you've got players that will sit on the bench and come off fresh with the quality, like Jesus. Riyad Mahrez, you could put Garcia in the conversation now because he's been pretty good since he's been asked
And of course, they've made a
Yeah.
couple of good signings
Ake's
to
come
improve
in,
their
yeah.
depth. Nathan Ake.
Ferran Torres.
Ferran Torres, yeah.
I haven't really seen much of him.
I mean-
He sounds a good prospect, and if Messi comes in, I mean that's the league, isn't it? Really, if that actually comes.
Well, I was
Well,
gonna say-
yeah, there's all kind of
I was gonna
hinges
say,
on
we
whether,
cannot forget
whether
about
Man
that,
City
but-
sign Messi. If Man City sign Messi, I'll happily change
Yeah,
my
no,
predictions.
that's it. They would have won
But-
if they get Messi in.
Yeah,
And so I think that Liverpool are going to finish
Yeah.
second. I think they're going to slow down. Salah and Mane can't keep up what they're doing for so long. And we said the start of last season, if injury strikes them, if injury hits Liverpool, that is their season isn't going to last very long because they haven't got anyone to back case.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's me. That is my case.
So,
okay. Yeah,
are we
I
all
feel like you
have we
guys
all
have-
agreed that Wolves will not be a top
Yes.
6 side?
Even I can say that I think we will not break into the top 6 this season. Sadly, but yeah, I don't think it'll happen. Potentially 7th or 8th again.
I think that's a
That
fair.
we
I think
were
that's a
aiming
fair.
for. And I mean, to put it into context, give it a bit of perspective. We were 15th in the Championship 3 years ago, so
exactly.
That's
seventh,
good. That is
and
really
8th in the Premier League. I am perfectly happy with that. To be brutally honest, so I'll take it. Right. Just a couple more predictions to go through. If you guys
Do these
would like
quickly.
to go through
blitz
your
through this,
relegation
'cause,
predictions. Yeah, so I'll just give you my bottom 3 and then you guys can say yours. I've gone for Newcastle in 18th, Aston Villa in 19th, and Fulham bottom of the league. I wasn't particularly impressed with Fulham last season, to be honest, in the Championship. Despite the fact that they came up, I thought they would definitely, over the course of the season, they weren't as good as Brentford. And they're a decent team, but I don't know. I just don't think they have the quality. Towards the bottom of the table this season, I think the teams actually look pretty decent in most cases. You've got like Brighton, who look okay. You've got, Burnley, who arguably, shouldn't even be in the conversation
just
for
a pretty
relegation
decent
anymore.
mid-table
They've
team
done so
now.
well over the last couple of years.
Mm.
Southampton are out. Southampton are not really in that conversation anymore. So yeah, I don't think Fulham have enough quality. They haven't really
They
spent
learned the
anything
lesson
this
from last
season.
time they came up.
And-
They spent
Yeah, I
100
mean-
mil and went straight back down
Yeah.
anyway. So
Yeah, and then
Yeah, I mean,
in terms of for Aston Villa, they survived by the skin of their teeth last season, and really they shouldn't have survived. They only survived because
No.
of a
yeah,
goal line technology problem. So they haven't really invested anything this summer. I mean, last season they invested heavily and it didn't really go to plan. It looks like they've completely changed policy this season, but they basically haven't invested anything at all, and they need to improve that team, and they haven't. And I think,
they spent so much last time.
This
they haven't got
season-
the money, though, really, have they?
well, I think this season they haven't got the buffer of Norwich and
Bournemouth, Watford.
who else went down last season? It's just slipped my mind. Bournemouth and Watford, who were both terrible. Let's have it right. This season they don't have that buffer of terrible teams to keep them up essentially, and I think they will go back down to the Championship. And Newcastle, they have a couple of players that I like. Obviously, I like Alan Saint-Maximin.
He's
who
going to move
doesn't.
somewhere.
But they haven't. They still are yet to sign a good striker. They can't. They surely can't continue to rely on Joe Linton
terrible.
and Andy Carroll. And last season, I think, to be honest, they got very lucky to finish as high as they did. And I think
Yeah.
this season might be the season that the Steve Bruce dynasty ends at Newcastle.
I mean, I've gone for pretty much the same. I've gone for Fulham, West Brom, instead of
Yeah.
Newcastle, and Villa.
Right.
I've done exactly the same list as you.
So I mean, I don't know which way round they'll be in. They're just getting relegated.
Yeah,
They aren't signing
They're
enough.
too low down to worry
Like,
about.
when you look at like Leeds are doing it right. They're being linked with quality players. They signed. Who did they sign from
signed
Valencia?
Rodrigo. I'm not entirely convinced about
It's
that
not
one.
signed yet. It's still
He's
talking
not,
about it, I
he's
think,
not an
isn't it?
amazing player, but he's a mid-table striker at least, which is what they want to be. They don't want to be fighting.
Yeah, I think Leeds.
Like,
I don't, a lot of people have seen people saying, "Oh, Leeds can challenge for Europe this season," and I think that's madness. I think people are massively overrating them.
Yeah, I mean they've got the history, which is what backs them really.
I think I think they'll stay up. I think they're definitely good enough to stay up. They were clearly the best team in the Championship last season by quite a distance. And also, I think probably you guys probably expected me to say West Brom will go down because I hate West Brom being a Wolves fan. But I think
But they haven't signed. My point is the fact they haven't signed anybody.
but
they signed that.
they've made a lot of their loan deals permanent, like Pereira, who is definitely a quality player. And I think they will struggle against relegation. They'll certainly be in that dogfight. That they might come 17th, and maybe they will get relegated. But I think they are slightly better than Newcastle and Fulham and Aston Villa. So, as much as it hurts me to say it, I think they will just about scrape it.
Well, that's our predictions, and we should.
Predictions.
I think we should change sport.
Yeah, change subject.
Change completely to what a race at Spa today.
Yeah, moving into
Formula
the Formula One. To round off the podcast.
So I am fairly new to the Formula One scene, but I watched my first full race today, and it was actually a lot more entertaining than I thought it would be. I used to think it was just racing around a track for like an hour and a half, and nothing really happened. But it was quite good.
Yeah,
I mean they're not all that exciting.
There's
there's
certainly some ones that you'll be glad you missed out on. The last race was not particularly interesting in Barcelona, not far from anyone's favourite track, but Spa is certainly one of the favourite tracks of Formula One community, and it's a classic track, and it always produces a good race, and it did so today as well.
I do have to say I feel sorry for Carlos Sainz.
Yeah, unlucky.
He's the last two races he's had at Spa have not gone well. He stalled last year at Spa, which kind of ended his race really.
It's not a happy hunting ground for him.
And then this year he's had a power unit issue which caused the exhaust to blow.
Yeah, so he couldn't start the race. It's a shame because I think he would have had a really good race. We saw Lando Norris come in 7th for McLaren, and
a couple more laps and it would have been last lap Lando again.
Yeah, we saw, and some of the big rivals to Sainz in the table, like Alex Albon and Daniel Ricciardo and Esteban Ocon, picked up some big points. And it was a big weekend for Renault, who came 4th and 5th.
Yes,
it's a fantastic result for them. Daniel Ricciardo, I mean, if they'd given Daniel Ricciardo a couple more laps, he would have caught Max Verstappen, which, kind of crazy. He set the fastest lap of the race on the last lap. He was really pushing that car to limits, but it's certainly the best race of the season from Renault's perspective.
Oh yeah, definitely. But the big talking point of the Formula One race was that crash.
The big crash.
That crash was.
Antonio Giovinazzi.
I don't know.
His tyre came off. Like that was the wheel. Yeah. The whole wheel came off.
It looked like he clips the inside.
He just catches the curb, doesn't he? And he drops it, and he just spins quite brutally into the wall. The wheel comes flying off the car, and very unlucky for George Russell, it hits the wheel of his Williams and sends him off the track as well. So
the thing is that kind of thing is because wheels are heavy, like that's deadly. Like,
they are really.
Well, it's why they brought the halos in.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. You got to thank God that they're both all right. For one thing, just from the impact of the crash, and also a couple of years ago, if that tyre had been a little higher, it would have hit George Russell in the head. going at that
it
speed
wasn't.
and such a heavy tyre. That could have been some very, very
At that
serious
speed.
injury.
But like, the thing is could Giovinazzi actually stop that? Because it looked like what he'd done is he'd clipped the curb, and as he's clipped the curb, he's tried to accelerate straight out,
Yeah.
which just sent the back end flying.
It's
So he's skidded across the track.
It's easy
I mean,
to say, oh, he's crashed by himself and he's made a mistake and he's shocking and all that. But a lot of the time, these things just happen and it's not necessarily the driver's fault. At the end of the day, whether or not they're one of the best drivers on the grid or not, there's only 20 people allowed in Formula One. So if you're one of those 20 people, you're one of the best drivers in the world, regardless of your standing on the grid. So Antonio Giovinazzi is one of the best drivers in the world. And, the best drivers in the world don't just make stupid mistakes all the time. Those kind of things just happen. It's racing. Sometimes something goes wrong.
It wasn't nice at all.
Scary stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, that track is a scary track.
It is a scary track, and you get some
modern,
really nasty accidents happen there only last
yeah,
year.
and if
Tragically lost the life of Antoine Hubert.
Yeah, sadly, and it was nice to see they had a moment of silence.
Yeah.
To remember him. Both in Formula 2 and Formula 1 they did it.
Yeah.
So rest in peace, Hubert.
Yeah, but anyway, another team who really did not have a good time of things in Spa was Ferrari. Probably the most embarrassing Ferrari performance I have ever seen. This is certainly the worst Ferrari car I've ever witnessed in my lifetime.
So explain. So what's actually happened with them? Is it just their qualifying?
Well,
so
their
engine,
sorry, go on,
they've changed their engine.
Yeah.
So Ferrari used to be very, very quick, straight line speed.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what they're known for.
But for some reason, there's been a tweak to the engine, and there's just no straight line speed whatsoever. I mean, I want to say it was Gasly, but I'm not entirely sure. He had overtaken Leclerc before it was even what's the corner called?
Is
it Rouge? Is it?
Something? Rouge.
Yeah, before he'd even got to the straight bit of that, he'd gone past him without using DRS.
It's it was too easy. They were so slow, and it is weird because it's the thing that you always see the comparisons in the last few years between Ferrari and Mercedes and Red Bull. Is Ferrari are the fastest. They are the ones with all the straight line speed. Whether they don't necessarily have the downforce around the corners of the Mercedes or the Red Bull, but they always had the speed to just in tracks like Italy and Spa with a lot of straights, they could really use that speed to great effect. And last year, Charles Leclerc won his first Grand Prix in Ferrari. And this year it's just completely gone wrong. And there are questions of was last year's engine actually legal? Because there was investigations into that. And
because they slowed down as soon as they looked at it.
Yeah, there was a kind of behind closed doors settlement between the FIA and Ferrari. Nothing was ever announced as to whether what the results of that investigation were, but notably after that investigation, Ferrari was slower. So were they forced to change their engine? And then
it's not even race pace.
It's just embarrassing.
But it's not just race pace. I mean, quali, they struggle to get out of Q1.
Yeah, they scrape through by the skin of their teeth. I mean, could you imagine a Ferrari going out in Q1?
How does that work? Oh, hang on, I'm muted. 1 second.
You're not muted.
I'm muted on Audacity, so I could type. I'm back.
Right.
How does that work then? Because how do you not qualify?
Well, essentially, the first qualifying session, all 20 cars, and it's just who can set the fastest lap, and the bottom 5 are then relegated. Essentially, they can't take part in the next qualifying session, and their places are done. So that's where you get the starting grid 16th to 20th, so the bottom 5. And then Q2, second qualifying session, is the top 15 teams from the first qualifying session. And then again, the bottom 5 from that session are their qualifying is done. And that's then on the grid for the race 10th to 15th.
Right, okay.
And then the final top 10 race to see who's going to be, who's going to be first, second, third, down to 10th for the start of the race.
Right, okay.
And generally, qualifying benefits a car that is just plain fast, that just has the speed, because it's not about racecraft, it's not about overtaking cars, it's just about who can put in the fastest lap. So Ferrari, being a very fast car, tend to do well, and to see them struggling is just kind of crazy. Shocking. It's just almost unfathomable how badly their car is.
It's so strange to see them at the back, and I mean Monza is going to be an interesting one because it's
the Italian. They're lucky really that there won't be any Italian crowds, because that would make it a heck of a lot worse, I think. But it's the home race of the Ferrari is certainly, it might be a painful experience for them.
So you got that Monza. I mean, Leclerc, to be fair to him, he was doing really well at the start of the race.
He had a really good first lap.
4 or 5 places.
I think 5 places. He was up to 7th or 8th.
But then it's just nothing was there.
And then, because the first couple of laps is almost more about it. There's more of an emphasis, I think, on driver skill, because all the cars are so grouped up. It's all about your racecraft and your ability to overtake. And Leclerc really showed that, because he is an amazing driver. But once we got into the later stage of the race, his car just couldn't keep up.
So that ended that race, and Vettel just couldn't do a thing.
No.
I mean,
it puts it to the question more and more: will he even have a seat next season? Because he isn't going to be a Ferrari. Where's he going to be?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder where. I don't think he'll become a presenter at all. I can't see Vettel being a presenter. He's too. He's got a very dry sense of humour in some respects. I mean, his race knowledge is there, and he knows everything about it. He's very, very good at it. But from certain interviews that he had recently with Martin Brundle, he was saying that he couldn't do it. He couldn't ask the questions. He knows how to answer them, but doesn't know how to ask them. So I don't think that's a thing for him.
So he'll stay in racing, we presume. But will he continue?
It'd be sad to see him go. It'd be very sad to see him leave. I reckon he'll potentially have a year out.
Maybe we'll see him do what Fernando Alonso's done, and take a year out, refresh his mind and his mental state. And then maybe in a couple of years, when an opportunity arises, maybe he'll come back.
Yeah. But yeah,
I think that pretty much rounds it out.
I mean, what do you guys what have you guys put down for driver of the day? Because we'll do our own one. I'm not actually too sure who won it.
I don't know who won it either. No, but
I'll have a look.
Anyway, my choice was Pierre Gasly.
I was gonna. Okay, go on. Yeah,
I'm with you with that one.
You agree?
That's what I put.
Pierre
Gasly got it as well.
The way he started, overtaking Leclerc and stuff was really cool. So,
I really like to see him racing like this, because he had a really torrid time at Red Bull, and he got replaced halfway through the season, which would have been hard for him. And it must be even harder for him now, seeing that basically the same thing is happening with Alex Albon. He's just not able to keep up with Verstappen in any way, shape, or form. And whereas Gasly was treated quite badly, he was really, he got a lot of slack from fans and from his team for not performing. And now it's happening to Albon, and everybody seems to be on Albon's side.
I think the biggest difference is the fact that you've gone from Ricciardo, that is an amazing driver, that could keep up with Verstappen. Also, bearing in mind that Verstappen was a lot younger. I say a lot younger. He was a year younger, so one more year with inexperience. And Ricciardo could keep up, so they expected Pierre Gasly to come in and perform exactly how Ricardo did. That hasn't happened, so there's been backlash. But when Albon comes in, they now know that this is a potential that could happen, so they're kind of more used to
more accepting
this is what
of
could
that
happen.
failure. But I think it's becoming clear to me that it's more of a failure of Red Bull. I think you can see more and more that this car they've designed is just so built for Max Verstappen. It's very unique driving style, the way he absolutely puts the car to the absolute limit. I mean, I think if you put him in many other cars on the track, he'd tear them to pieces. And it's built for Max Verstappen, and therefore it's not built for Alex Albon or Pierre Gasly. So they're going to struggle a lot more in that. But since he's been back in the Toro Rosso, now of course AlphaTauri, he's been pretty much back to his best. Last season, he did well. He came second in Brazil, which was an amazing race for him. His high, I mean, he got is a higher result for him than he ever got in a Red Bull. And this season, he's just been very consistent. The car's been fast. I've been quite impressed with his teammate as well, Daniel Kvyat, actually.
Yes.
And then this race kind of encapsulated that. He was pulling off some really good overtakes.
I mean, he got...
Yeah, go on.
I think he was up to 5 overtakes before the he pitted. And, I mean, that safety car really didn't help his race at all, because he was already on the hards.
He wasn't really able to get
out. So it enabled other people to get that cheap pit stop where he couldn't gain it. And yet he still finished quite high up for how he performed in the race. I mean, he got another load of overtakes when he pitted afterwards because he was near the back of the grid.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I really like Pierre Gasly, and he had a really good race. And it's good to see him doing well.
Yep, and I think that wraps up what we were
came
going to speak about today.
Yeah.
So
thank you
thank you guys for listening.
Yeah. Really good. Really enjoyed doing this.
Our first
podcast.
Still got things to work on, but I think it went quite well.
I think we did pretty well, yeah. So anyway, thanks everybody for listening once again.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah.
An hour and 51 minutes later. I think
it's been a long one, but we've done well, and we will see everybody next time.
Peace.